All right, so we're diving into Wolfman today. You know that Screen Rant interview with Julia Garner that you sent over?
Yeah.
I gotta say,
Mm-hmm.
the way they're building up to the werewolf transformation is, like,
Yeah.
really intriguing.
It really is interesting how they're playing with our expectations.
Right.
Like, we've seen werewolves before, but this just seems different.
Totally. And Garner, who plays the Wolfman's wife,
Yeah.
she talks about, like, how unsettling it was even on set,
Uh-huh.
and she knew it was all just makeup and prosthetics.
Right, right.
It's wild.
Yeah, it really speaks to the power of practical effects,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
especially for horror.
Yeah.
You mentioned you were a fan of some of those classic werewolf films.
Like, huge fan.
I think that this focus on prosthetics might be kind of tapping into that same, like, visceral reaction that we get
Right.
from those transformations from, like, decades ago.
Definitely. Okay, so let's unpack that.
Okay.
The article mentions that the director, Leigh Whannell, he's drawing inspiration from, like, body horror films.
Yes.
Like The Thing and The Fly,
Oh, yeah.
which both, use practical effects to create these, like,
Yeah.
super disturbing and tangible transformations.
Exactly. And that's key. Body horror,
Yeah.
for, those who might not be familiar, is all about, like, the grotesque distortion of the human form.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about, like, losing control and becoming something monstrous.
Yeah, like, are they saying that this new Wolfman
Yeah.
is going to be more The Thing than, a classic Lon Chaney Jr. werewolf?
Potentially.
Oh, okay,
What's
interesting.
so fascinating is that they're using these practical effects to make the transformation feel so grounded,
Uh-huh.
real disturbing.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it.
Okay.
When we see something that's CGI, our brains kind of know it's not real.
Right.
But when we see, like, an actor physically transforming,
Yeah.
even if we know it's makeup, it
Yeah.
taps into something else, like a fear of the unknown.
Totally. And Garner even mentions how the transformation is gradual,
Right.
which she finds even more unsettling than, like, a sudden change.
It makes sense, though. That slow burn.
Right.
It's very deliberate.
Yeah.
It plays on our anticipation and the dread of the inevitable.
Mhm.
Like, we see as humans slowly fading away
Yeah.
and then being replaced by something monstrous.
Yeah.
And that in-between state,
Right.
that's where horror is most effective.
It's like they're creating this sense of the uncanny valley,
Oh, yeah.
where something is almost human but not quite,
Yeah.
and it just triggers this deep unease.
Totally.
It's not just about, like, the visuals, though, right?
Right.
The article mentions that
Yeah.
this slow transformation can really play into, like, the psychological aspects of the film.
Absolutely. I mean, just think about it from, like,
Well-
Charlotte's perspective.
Right.
Garner's character.
Right.
She's watching, like, the man she loves slowly turn into a monster.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
So true.
Yeah.
It's like the horror is not just the monster.
Right.
It's also about the impact it has on everyone else,
Mm.
like the people around it.
Yeah, the emotional toll
Totally.
on the people that are, like, witnessing this transformation.
For sure, it adds, like, a whole other layer
Yeah.
to the story. It's
Yeah.
not just a monster movie.
Right.
It's like love and loss
Uh-huh.
and fear of the unknown.
It is?
Speaking of the unknown,
Okay.
the film's marketing has been very clever to keep the full Wolfman reveal
Yeah.
like a secret.
Oh, yeah.
They're showing, like, glimpses, hints of the transformation,
Uh-huh.
but never the full creature.
Oh, right.
It's like a classic horror movie tactic, though.
It's like using the mystery and the anticipation
Yeah.
to build suspense.
Uh-huh.
They're letting our imaginations run wild
Right.
and fill in the blanks.
Which, if they do it right,
Yeah,
it can make the reveal even more impactful.
exactly.
I wonder,
Yeah,
this approach, you think it aligns with Whannell's other work?
I think so, yeah.
Like, you've seen The Invisible Man, right?
I have.
What'd you think?
I thought it was really well done, the way he, like, builds suspense.
Yeah.
And uses the unseen to create a sense of dread.
Right.
It's really cool.
Yeah, so, this decision to keep the Wolfman shrouded in mystery
Uh-huh.
feels very deliberate.
Yeah, I think knowing his style, it really does.
Okay, so we've got practical effects.
Yeah.
We've got a slow burn transformation, a director that knows how to build suspense.
Yep.
But what about the transformation itself?
Yeah.
Like, is there anything in the article about what it actually looks like?
Unfortunately, no specific details are given.
Okay.
But Whannell does talk about wanting to create something that's, like, both familiar and new.
Oh, interesting.
Something that pays homage to the werewolf mythos, but also brings something fresh.
Right. So they're trying to strike this balance between honoring those classic werewolf images
Yeah.
and pushing the boundaries of what a werewolf can be.
Exactly. And that's what makes this film so intriguing. Like,
Yeah.
we've seen this monster so many times
Yeah.
in movies, in literature.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make it scary again.
Yeah.
In a new way.
It's exciting, and if anyone can pull it off, it's got to be Whannell.
Yeah, I think so.
He's not afraid to, like, experiment with the genre or
Right.
take risks.
He's not just rehashing the same old werewolf tropes.
Oh,
He's
right.
really trying to find a new way to, like, tap into our primal fears and make us question, like, what it means to be human and what happens when that humanity is lost.
Yeah, it really makes you think about that line
Uh-huh.
between man and monster
Yeah,
and how easy it can be blurred.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that, like, blurring and uncertainty,
Right.
that's what makes horror so effective.
Yeah.
You're forced to confront, like, your own fears
Uh-huh.
about the darkness inside yourself
Yeah.
or inside the people that you love.
Like, what if it wasn't even a werewolf? You know?
Right.
Like something closer to home.
Exactly.
You mentioned earlier that you're a fan of those classic werewolf films. Do you remember any films that explored that side? You know, that fear of losing someone
Oh, yeah, definitely.
to something monstrous.
Like An American Werewolf in London.
Oh, yeah.
That's a great example.
Yeah.
It's not just about the transformation, but the main character's isolation
Right.
and his struggle to, like, maintain his humanity as he's becoming more monstrous.
Yeah,
There's something really tragic about it.
for sure.
You know, this, like, loss of self that's almost scarier than the creature.
Totally. And it sounds like Wolfman could be, like, tapping into that.
Yeah.
Especially with the emphasis on the slow burn
Right.
and its impact on Charlotte.
Yeah, it's not just about the jump scares or the gore.
Right.
It's about the, like, psychological and emotional weight
Totally.
of everything.
Yeah.
You know, and that can be way more unsettling
Great
than
time.
any, like, quick transformation or CGI monster.
Okay, so going back to what you said earlier,
Yeah.
do you think that knowing how the effects are done makes the horror less effective?
That's a good question.
Or does it add another layer of appreciation?
I mean, I think for some people,
Mm-hmm.
knowing how it's done takes away some of the mystery.
Right.
But for others, it, like, enhances the whole experience. Think about, like, all those behind-the-scenes documentaries
Oh, yeah, totally.
that show you how these creatures are made,
Mm-hmm.
how the makeup is done, the puppeteers.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Sometimes seeing that makes it even more impressive.
Exactly.
Like, it's like appreciating a magic trick, even when you know how it's done.
Right. You understand the skill,
Yeah.
the artistry.
For sure.
It just, like, deepens your respect.
So maybe in the case of Wolfman,
Yeah.
knowing that they're using practical effects makes it even more disturbing
It could.
because it feels more real.
More tangible, for sure.
Well, I don't know about you, but
yeah.
I'm definitely more intrigued after this deep dive.
Me too.
You know, practical effects, the psychological horror. A director who's known for suspense.
Yeah.
A fresh take on werewolves.
It seems like they're going for something special.
It really does.
It's definitely a film that's sparking conversations
Oh, yeah.
about, like, horror and filmmaking in general.
Absolutely. And who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe it'll even inspire some future filmmakers
Right.
to explore, you know, the monster within those blurred lines.
The possibilities are endless.
They are.
I, for one, am excited to see what horrors it unleashes.
I am too. Thanks for joining me for this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.